Swami Swatmananda is joining us today. He's one of the most dynamic leaders of Chinmaya mission. Currently, he's posted at the South Mumbai Center, and he has completed the Vedanta course from Pavai from 2000 from 98 to 2000 after his graduation in commerce and software engineering. He's been serving the Chinmaya mission Mumbai since the year 2000. We had the good fortune of attending a Vedanta youth camp with Swamiji in 2014 at the Chinmaya Vibhuti Kolvan Center. He is serene and ever smiling. He loves to interact with the young, and it's mutual as the kids love him back. He has the ability to simplify and convey even the most complex concepts. He expounds the Vedanta, Advaita Vedanta philosophy through talks on the Bhagavad Gita, Upanishads, and lots of other texts of Vedanta and Bhakti through camps, meditation retreats, interactive sessions, and discussions for youth and adults. Children love him dearly, and he inspires the youth with dynamic spirituality, encourages them to think and question. Various mediums like theater plays, treks, outdoor experiential learning programs, music, etc. are used by him. He has also taken the Youth Empowerment Program, which is a value-based leadership program for youth who want to serve the nation and the culture, where the youth are trained for 3 months and the youth serve the country for 9 months. Several corporates like Pyramids, Reliance, Mahindra and Mahindra, Tata Motors, Toyota, PwC, etc. have been addressed by him. He holds weekly discussion groups on the Bhagavad Gita for some of the top industrialists of India. He's also a playwright and has written and directed 2 theatrical performances. Adrishya, Quest for the Unseen, based on Saraswati civilization and developed India, was written and directed by him in 2009. Just like that, a play based on the Bhagavad Gita was also written and directed by him in 2015. His simplicity, foresight, peaceful nature, and a balanced approach endear him to everyone. May I now ask Swamiji to share his thoughts on the topic of the day, dependency, devotion, and detachment.
Hari Om. Thank you very much. I thank Dr. Hansaji and the Santacruz Institute of Yoga for this wonderful opportunity. I've heard quite a bit about the great work that is being done for many decades from this institute, and many people from many students from there have also been studying Vedanta, Bhagavad Gita, etc. with Chinmaya mission. And I also thank Swati Chitalia. She is my cousin sister, and she introduced me for this session here. So let us start. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahana Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Shri Chinmaya Sadgurave Namaha. So our topic is dependency, detachment, and devotion. This, especially for relationship. So, when we speak about relationships, why do we have relationships? So Swami Chinmayananda used to say that to love and to be loved is the greatest joy of existence. We have relationships because we want to feel loved as well as we love people, and that both these give us a lot of joy. So to love, to be loved, to learn to give and forgive, because when we want to love, many times we feel that people should love us in the way we want them to. So everybody waits for love, but nobody is going out and giving love actively. Relationships are meant for us to go out and give love. The more love we give, the more we receive. May not be equal in the same measure from the same people whom we give. It will come back. When we have the ability to love, we will be loved back. There is no doubt in that. So to love, to be loved, to give, and to forgive. There are so many challenges that come in a relationship. To have a healthy relationship, there will be ups and downs, there will be fights, there will be difficulties. So, how to learn to give love and also forgive? To be selfless and serving. To maintain the balance of individual growth, when to put myself also in priority and when should I learn to put the others before me. That balance of individual and the other. All this comes to us from relationships, and a very, very important aspect of uh, growth is this, because anyone will not serve us. If I only think about myself, relationship will not be happy. If I only think about the other, again relationship will not be happy. So the purpose of relationships, when it is understood very clearly, that it is to love, to be loved, it is to give and forgive, it is to be selfless and serving, and it is to know the balance of the individual and the other. Then relationships are like a mirror. They will exactly show us who we are, and we all need different relationships, and each relationship makes us aware of a different side of ourselves, makes a different potential manifest. So in relationships, when we speak about dependency, one of the biggest challenges that comes in relationships is the challenge of dependency, because when we feel empty from inside, when we feel lonely from inside, then we want to cling, then we want to depend. What is this dependency? See, functional dependency is not a problem. Suppose I depend on somebody and they need to finish some work for me. Now that is a functional dependency. Suppose that there is a driver, there is a maid, there is anybody, even my spouse or my child. There is a functional dependency which is there, where we depend for certain things to happen. Psychological dependency is where we rely on that person for happiness. If that person behaves in a particular way, then I feel happy. If that person speaks to me in a particular way, then I feel happy. And if that person does not do certain things in a certain way that I expect, then I feel very unhappy. I feel not loved. I feel ignored. So the psychological dependency is what we call as dependency. And that dependency, in other words, we also call as attachment. So many people think that detachment is a very heavy duty word, and only the sadhus and sannyasis, they are supposed to be detached. Swamiji, we are couples, we are grahasthis, how can we be detached? अगर हम अनासक्त हो गए तो हम साधु ही बन जाएंगे. How can we be loving to people, and we have children, we have people around us, we have to be loving to them and we can't be detached. So there are a lot of wrong notions that one has about detachment. So we will come to that. I want to share one very beautiful video of Puja Gurudev Swami Chinmayananji on first understanding what is attachment. And then we will take up this aspect about detachment. Right. You are able to see on the screen? Yeah.
Attachment is very well known to every one of you. Every one of us have got some attachment or the other. But the attachment of each individual may be different from each other. You are attached to the mother, another is attached to the father, another is attached to the wife, another is attached to the children. Some are attached to their profession, some are attached to power, some are attached to money, wealth. Swamiji, you have never told what my attachment is. I am not attached to all these things. Then in that case you are attached to your dog. That is right. I am attached to my dog. Without some attachment you cannot live. If any one of you say that, Swamiji, I have no attachments, all that I can tell you is, lie down there, after the lectures we will attend to your funeral. Why? When there is no attachment, you are dead. Attachment everyone has got. Every one of you think of your attachment. whatever be that attachment, and try to verbalize what do you mean by attachment. Attachment is a feeling. Luckily it is not physical. If physically you and I are attached to things, you can't move about. Because I am attached to my wife and my children and my property and my factory, my business or my house. How can you move attached? It's not physical. It's the mental. Analyze. What do you mean by in the mind an attachment? A mere thought. A stream of thought by which we tie ourselves to things and beings in the world outside. So when I say that I am attached to mother or father, whatever it is, it means that I am complete only with that being or thing, minus that being or thing, I am the less for it. I'm not complete in myself. I plus my mother, life is wonderful. Minus my mother, I don't know what to do. I and my wife, beautiful life. Minus my wife, I have no hope of getting another wife. Silly feeling, just a feeling. Thing is called attachment. So attachment is a thought bondage, which means, that thought bondage, what is it? It includes I plus I want. Think again and again before taking down your notes. Think! I plus I want. This feeling towards anything in the world or any being in the world is called attachment.
Okay, so as Gurudev said, it is a thought bondage. So I plus I want there means, as he said, without which I feel incomplete. Where I feel only when I have this, then I am complete. That thought bondage is called attachment. Now, why should I be detached? Because very simple law in life is, my sorrow in life is directly proportional to my attachment. Simple. The more I am attached, the more sorrowful I will be. The more I am detached, the more happy I will be. If you think about it, so many times when we read in the newspaper, there is an obituary column which is there. Someone has passed away. We are sipping a coffee and we are reading it. Nothing happens to us. But if it is somebody of our own, near and dear one, immediately it will pain. Why? Because there is a feeling of love, there is a feeling of attachment possibly. Then one will feel sad. To the extent I insist that this person should behave with me like this only, they should not do this, they should not take this decision against what I said. To that extent, I will be sad if they differ. So my attachment will bring me maximum sorrow. In the Gita, Arjun collapses. In the Mahabharata war, Arjun collapses. For 12 years, he trained himself. He became a very skilled warrior. He acquired missiles, etc. But on the day of the war, he collapsed. Why? Because his attachment to Bhishma and Drona overwhelmed him. So we have to understand that love is there, no doubt. Detachment does not mean no love. So detachment does not mean disinterestedness, lovelessness, indifference, not caring about the person. No. Detachment means acceptance of the person as it is. Point one. Detachment means being loving and yet giving the freedom and space to that person, which is the right of that person, which that person deserves. That person is an individual. Where I don't depend on that person's behavior, words, actions for my happiness. My happiness remains within me. That center of happiness should be inside us. No object, person, situation should be able to control my happiness. That is the state of detachment. In that, I will anchor within and I will do my duties. I will do whatever duties are there towards my spouse, towards my family, my children, without any sense of dependency, with a clear sense of detachment, then I will be more effective. Why? Because I can be objective. I can be sensitive. I can understand that person for what that person is, what that person needs. In attachment, I am more important. In love, the beloved is more important. In attachment, there is a specific way in which they have to behave. There is no freedom to the beloved. In love and detachment, there is freedom. There are many differences that are there between love and attachment. I'm just going to share a few of them here. So love and detachment go together, not love and attachment. People generally think that, Swamiji, if I'm loving, I have to be attached. No. I can love and be detached. Because to the extent I am attached, to that extent I am lesser in being able to love. Because the simple difference is this. In attachment, I am important. So attachment, there is a selfishness. In love, there is selflessness. In attachment, I and my needs are more important than the beloved. In love, the beloved comes first. So attachment will blind a person. Love will see what the beloved needs. If you think about it, the entire Mahabharata war happened. Why? One of the biggest lessons Mahabharata teaches us is, if we are attached, it will bring us sorrow. Dhritarashtra was attached to his son and he could not do his duty as a king. And as a result, the entire war happened and more than 40 lakh people died. Just because of the attachment of this one person. That was the main cause for that war. Drona is attached to his son. Finally, he loses his life. Arjun was attached to Bhishma and Drona. He got confused, overwhelmed. Yudhishthir was attached to Dharma. So Yudhishthir also made a mistake where he went second time to play the game of dice. Bhishma was attached to his own oath. Duryodhana was attached to power. So the more a person is attached, the more the person gets blinded. One can't see what the beloved needs. So many parents, they become so attached to their ambition and they enforce it on the children. Children are made for something else, but the parent want to live their ambitions through the child. So attachment will blind. Many times people say in relationships, where am I in this relationship? I am not there. It is always about you, you and you. I am not there at all in this relationship. Why? Because that person is so dominating, attached, insistent, does not give the freedom, the space, is not sensitive what the other person needs. So attachment will bind and blind the person. Attachment will generate more anxiety. Love and detachment is soothing and calm. Attachment builds the stress. Attachment is about continuously receiving. And the sad thing there is, the more I receive, the more I may feel insecure also. Somebody may be even getting tired of loving us, saying that how much can I love this person? Still the person feels insecure. Why? Because the person is not anchored within. And there's a helpless dependence that person has created. And more wants happen. So this is called attachment. What is love? Swamiji used to define love very beautifully in a book called I Love You. He says, identification with the beloved, where the two become one. That is called love. It is not passing infatuation. It is not some crush. It is not some dependency. It is identification with the beloved, where I am able to identify. The mother identifies with the child. This is my child, and there is a sense of oneness there. A person who loves the country identifies with the country and feels, this is my country. Where there's a sense of oneness, identification. I am the country. If one feels that, then that love will generate the best in us. We want to give, we want to serve. And in that very act, there is so much of joy. The mother feels so happy in loving the child. Till the child grows up and the mother develops expectations, the mother does not have any dependency. The mother is very happy. But the moment she starts developing expectations, then all kinds of troubles will start. Again, expectations is not a problem actually. Insistence is the problem. Expectations are very natural to us. But if we insist that this person should behave like this, Why did my son not listen to me when I said this? Now the son is being not obedient. What are the neighbors going to think? How have I brought my son up? Those thoughts will come up in the mind. So if I am able to love, there is identification. And if I'm detached, there is right balance of where my line is, where my ability to love ends and my insistence ends, and where the freedom of that person starts. See, in the Gita, Bhagavan gave the entire knowledge to Arjun, and at the end he said, Yatha ichhasi tatha kuru. You decide what you want and you do. Bhagavan didn't say that, look, I am God, okay? Now I've given you 3 hours discourse in the battlefield. Now you better listen to what I say. If you don't listen to me, you had it. What are the people going to think that this fellow doesn't listen to me? Then where am I? What is my status as Bhagavan? He didn't make it anything personal. One of the keys of detachment is be non-personal. Don't take things personally where it is not even intended. So many times for small things we take it personally. Simplest example I give you today is you send a WhatsApp message to the opposite person. The person has read it. You saw the blue tick also, but that person has not replied. Finished. Now this mind of that person is disturbed, saying, "Arey, why did he not reply? Or why did she not reply? Earlier she was so prompt in replying. She used to wait for my messages and reply. Now even after 4 hours, 5 hours, she doesn't reply. He doesn't reply. Now why have we taken it personally? Maybe that person is busy doing something else. Maybe that person needs some more time to think. We can think objectively. So detachment means to be objective. Detachment is not from the person or from loving the person. It is from my insistence and from my resistance. So the more I detach, the more I will be able to love, because love and detachment will go together. Now, how do we practice this in daily life? Some ways are accept people as they are. Each one is a unique individual. We want people to accept us as we are. Then why can't we accept them as they are? Also ask, am I dealing with them directly as they are right now, or with some image that we have created in our mind because of some past experiences? Then we brand and judge. And one of the secrets of a harmonious relationship is that if there is a fight, keep it to the present. Don't go back into the past. If you start bringing the past into the picture, you had it. The issue which is there right now is left aside. Now I am dealing with something of the past. And most of the time, that is what happens. So, what the Gita says, give that space to the person. That what do they want to do? It is their freedom. Of course, it applies age-wise as the child grows or as the individual grows. But in general, it is said that give space, respect the individuality of the person. Try to understand the person, not judge and brand the person. Bhagavan so beautifully brings Arjun out of that state of delusion. He does not criticize Arjun, condemn Arjun, how can you be so weak? Why are you crying here? This is not good for you. He understands that Arjun is going through a problem. Not only understands that, he understands the deepest cause, that his issue is not about Bhishma and Drona. He doesn't know who he is actually. That is the main issue. So he gives him the right knowledge and helps him to come out of that state. In a relationship, that empathy is very important, to understand what the other person is going through and then be able to give. That person may need love, that person may need appreciating words or encouragement or just a hug or just being there with them. So understand and give accordingly. Swamiji used to say that in life, to handle others, use your heart. To handle yourself, use your head. Not that we can't be compassionate to ourselves. We can be loving and compassionate to ourselves also. Just give me a minute. There's a lot of rain here. I'm going to close the window and come. So we can be kind and compassionate to ourselves, no doubt. But we have to first use our heart for others also. So to use others, to handle others, use the heart. Many times we use our head. We become very critical of them, and you should have done this, you should have not done this, you should have spoken like this, not spoken like this. Bhagavan says, use your heart, understand, empathize, see the goodness in others. Many times we only see their flaws, we don't appreciate them for their goodness. One of the keys of relationship is to see the goodness and express that goodness, encourage, appreciate that goodness. Somehow human beings become very conjuice, even in appreciating. It doesn't cost us anything, but we will not appreciate. But we will be first to criticize and depreciate. Anything has gone wrong. If food is made well, we don't generally tell. If that person has made a new dish, we don't appreciate you. What a new dish you have made, wonderful, so nice. But if salt is less, immediately we will say, why the salt is less? Why you made like this? You should have been more alert. See the goodness in others first. Transform jealousy into admiration. So much of jealousy Kauravas had against the Pandavas. If they had just admired the qualities of the Pandavas, they would have imbibed it in themselves. Many times we become jealous. If one spouse is progressing very well, then the other sometimes may become jealous. Unfortunately, the gender stereotyping is also such that if the woman progresses more than a man, the man feels hurt. That ego comes up. So admiration is very important in any healthy relationship. Express the love. Do not take people for granted. So many times we take people for granted. In the Gita, Bhagavan says, Bhakto sime sakha cheti. You are my bhakta, you are my sakha. And he says that you are very dear to me. Pratijane priyo sime. So express love. Don't think that, Are, 30 saal ho gaye, you still want to hear I love you. You know na I love you. Why should I tell you? Are, if they want to listen to I love you, you tell. What is the problem? It's just a simple thing. They feel happy. So express the love. Don't take it for granted. And resenting people for ignoring our rules is very absurd. Don't take things so personally and cut off and not have relationship or don't speak, etc. Many times we have to recognize our fears also. What are the fears in our mind? Because of which the relationship we are being clingy or possessive or dominating, and express those fears. That is what can help the other person also to help us to come out. There is no ego in that. See, Arjun expressed very clearly, and he had even no qualms in having tears in his eyes in front of Bhagavan, saying, I am like this, now I am going through this. So Bhagavan could take him out of that state. Today, so many people say, no, you have to go to a shrink or a counselor, and the mental health challenges are increasing so much, and people need to express, let their fears be known so that somebody can help them. So it is very important that instead of blaming others and trying to find their fault, we should also see that what are the challenges in us and express them. It may appear that the person may exploit us, but it will not happen. We have to be careful and express, confide. They will feel more trusted and happy, and they will help out. And have issue-based differences, not personality-based differences. On an issue, we may agree to disagree. We may not have same opinions. It's all right. But to say that because of this, I brand you as a person who is always against me, who never agrees with me, we will never be able to tune up with each other. That is called judging and making unnecessary conclusions, generalizations. So the Gita says, have issue-based differences. See, Bhagavan Krishna himself, he went as a Shanti Doot, but people did not listen to him. War became imminent finally. And very interesting it is that after that, on that issue, all the Kauravas and Dhritarashtra and Bhishma, Drona, etc., everybody disagreed with him. They did not accept his proposal. But later on, when Duryodhan and Arjun both went to seek the help of Bhagwan, did Bhagwan help Duryodhan or not? He got the army of the Yadavas. One Akshavini army of Yadavas, Duryodhan got from Bhagwan. So the differences are kept issue based. They are not kept as personality based, and then one acts out of Raga and Dvesh. Bhagwan didn't say, Duryodhan, you rejected my proposal. I will not help you. How dare you even come to me? He didn't do that. On that issue, there was a difference of opinion. It is left at that. So this is how detachment and love can go together. Now, one last point here is about devotion. Bhakti. Why it is very important. Without love for God, love for man becomes very sentimental. Why? Because our deepest demand is for unconditional love. And nobody in this world who is a finite entity, an individual, can fulfill our demand for unconditional love. Even the person whom I love the most can only fulfill my expectations, my demand only for certain times in certain ways. To be loved at all times, to be accepted as I am every moment, and yet be loved, it is not possible for anybody to do. Bhagwan loves us being in our heart. Bhagwan says, Suhridam sarva bhutanam jnatva mam shantim ricchati in the Gita. When a person knows that I am his suhrid, I am his well-wisher, I am one who loves him, and I am in his own heart, and in the hearts of all the beings, sarva bhutana, then that person becomes peaceful and happy. So true giving will happen when I actually experience this state of love, where I tune up with the Lord. The same love that I have, which I direct towards people, when it is direct towards the one in the many, call it whatever, God, reality, truth, that is called bhakti. Emotion turned towards the divine is called devotion. And that devotion brings surrender, brings acceptance, brings this higher dimension in our life, where one sees the Lord in the hearts of all. So I don't love the person as a mother, father, spouse, but I love the Lord in that person. Then I am not only a loving son, but I am a son who is a devotee, so I become a devoted son. I become a devoted husband. I become a devoted spouse. I become a devoted father. When the element of devotion comes, then I will serve all, and that will purify the mind. That will keep the mind in a higher state, where I don't see the person only as the physical body or only as the individual, but I see the person as divine. And that relationship with Bhagwan alone is the absolute relationship. There is no other relationship which is absolute. Every other relationship is limited to this life alone. But life after life, one who comes with us is the Lord. And so it is very important in our culture that we have Ishta Devata. That is one suggestion that our culture gives, that of the many forms of the Lord, choose one form and build a relationship with Bhagwan. Mirabai had a relationship of a lover with the beloved. Ramakrishna had a relationship of a child towards the mother Kali. Hanumanji had a relationship of a servant towards Bhagwan Ram. Sudama had a relationship of a friend towards Bhagwan Krishna. Different people have different relationships with Bhagwan. Somebody can have even Bhakta and Bhagwan. Prahlad loved Bhagwan as Bhagwan. So each one can identify which is the predominant emotion in me and serve the Lord, build a relationship with Bhagwan, and one will see that the Lord alone is in the hearts of all. So one will not blame others. One will know it is happening between me and the Lord. And ultimately the goal is to realize oneness with Bhagwan. All our other relationships are to purify our mind through service, through giving, through sacrifice, through forgiving, and reduce our ego. So finally, when we become egoless, we realize I and the Lord are one. Essentially, we are one. There is no difference. That is the fulfillment of life. So our relationships in the world can help us to purify the mind develop detachment and devotion, and lead us to divinity. May all our relationships bring us this great sense of love, happiness, detachment, devotion, and divinity. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Swamiji. Hansaji, namaste.
Namaste, beta. It was actually such a lovely talk that where are we? I'm so Swamiji really spoke so well, so organized and systematic way. I really enjoyed it. I was on and off listening, full talk, and it was wonderful. So I don't think I need to speak anything more. It's wonderful. Okay. Now, actually, you all have to start thinking. Swamiji, first of all, namaskar.
Namaskar.
And I'm very glad that Swati also was instrumental in bringing you here, and of course, Garima, both of you. So they are our families of the Yoga Institute, and they are very, very good children. They do their duties very well. They are doing their jobs very well. Well, what I have to ultimately tell is that in today's modern language, if I mean, he is using the same, that in psychology, they use these three words: child character, parent character, and adult character. Child dependency, with child is always there. Parents totally devoted to child. Their whole life is rotating around child only and to each other. But now person has to reach to that adult, that maturity character. And here what you explained was very, very, very clear. What do we call as bhakti, surrender, devotion? These are all very things. And I very often tell people that bhakti is the subject of mind. In the beginning, you can't become bhakta to anybody, everybody. You have to slowly analyze things because we are given with mind, emotions, and intellect. Yoga psychology talks about these words very clearly, that we have emotions and intellect. Now, intellect has a capacity to analyze, dissect, inquisitiveness, understanding, and all that. And emotions definitely give you energy to move ahead in life. So this is how we move ahead. But then you can't just have faith in anybody and everybody. You have to use your common sense properly. People usually create this problem in life, that they develop faith in some human who has so many faults, and then they say that I didn't expect my guru to behave like that, and my guru, how. And usually all these things happen. But now we should be very much clear that use your intellect, but finally it's your surrender comes only when you are clear where to, and you mentioned it very clearly that have one, what you call as Kul Devata or whatever way you may put it, in your mind and surrender and devote to it. There are people, Swamiji, who say that we don't believe in God. So now you answer this question, Swami. What do you have to say there?
See, there is nobody who cannot believe, who does not believe in God. People only don't believe in certain concepts and presentations of God. Because any thinking person has to understand and will know that if there is an effect, there has to be a cause. Even a logical, scientific, rational person will say, if there is an effect, there has to be a cause.
Cause and effect.
Effect is very clear. I am there, the individual, and the world is there. Now, what can be the cause of it? Some people will call it truth, some people will call reality, some people will call it God. Those are different terminologies. And that ultimate cause has to be an infinite, uncaused cause. It cannot be a cause which is having any other cause. It cannot be finite because the whole world itself is infinite. The infinite world cannot come from finite things. And the world is ancient. It is Chetan. It is not Jadavastu. So 5 elements are one cause of the universe. It is a material cause. But there is an intelligent cause. Now, which is that intelligent cause? Vedanta says that intelligent cause of the universe is God. It calls it consciousness, which today quantum physics also calls it as quantum consciousness.
Correct.
That it is.
Yes.
That if people
Well-
understand this infinite cause of the universe is personified through various forms, because we can't think of infinite otherwise. We can't think in terms of formless. Everything we think is only in terms of a form.
So
that-
since in the institute we are reading Sankhya philosophy, because in Sankhya all these things are made very much clear. They don't use the word cause, a God as such, but they definitely say consciousness and universal consciousness. That part is clear. And so it makes it, yeah, clear to everybody. There has to be something which is moving the whole world, not you and me. So we believe in that and we use this word God there. That's fine. But in yoga also, I'm sure Swamiji, you must have read the Yoga Sutras. Yeah. So in yoga also the word Ishwar Pranidhan comes in
Correct.
Niyama. And that has to come what you should do for yourself. And there this word Ishwar also comes and Ishwar Pranidhan comes. And so we all have to be very clear about it. These are the things, this type of a thinking we should have every day within us to go ahead. Niyamas. So now, Garima, take the class ahead.
If there are any questions, I request everyone, whoever has a question can unmute and share the question and then mute yourself.
There are many who are not coming face to face. So where are they?
Namaste, Hansaji, Swamiji.
Namaste.
Okay.
Anagha here.
Yeah, bolo. Namaste.
Thank you, Swamiji, for speaking in such a simple language. There are so many questions because of what you have said. None of it is unknown. These are all things we know, but unfortunately, it is so difficult to practice when we come across challenging situations, when people, especially when people disagree with us, right? So my question is, like, theoretically, I know that God resides in everybody. But what happens when the person opposite you is having negative feelings about you, like critical towards you or judging you? So at that time, I find it very difficult to see the God in that person at that moment. And then immediately I start to go on my own defense, and then it prolongs the whole thing. So at that point, how do I detach from the situation and have a positive outlook towards the negativity in that person? What the negativity?
Yes, Swamiji.
Yes. So, see, if you see in the example of Mahabharata also, Duryodhana has a lot of negativities, right? There is no doubt. And as I said, Bhagwan did not, they did not accept his proposals, and they criticized him, and they even called him, you are a coward boy, and they insulted him, and they even tried to capture him. Now, what is the point to learn there? When a person has a negativity against us, nobody's mind will have a negativity unless there is some negativity in them. If they are seeing a certain negativity in you and they are criticizing you for that, there are two possibilities. One is that they are objectively seeing a negativity and trying to correct that to help you. That is very simple, that if I take it objectively, I will be able to correct. But that is not what affects us. There is a negativity in them, and there are inherently certain negativities which are there in them, which they are then imposing on us or accusing us or making us feel bad about it. That affects us. Why that affects us? Because we, by ourselves, are not anchored in the self. We depend for our happiness on their opinion. It is their opinion about us, point one. And that opinion is making the difference in their behavior towards us, no doubt. And I may want to change that opinion because I don't like that behavior. But the clarity in this should be what? First of all, do I have anchoring in my goodness and my positivities and my strengths, and am I a happy person inside or not? That is very important first. That is called self-love in today's language. So those who have anchored in themselves, they have found their center of love, happiness within. They know their strengths, their weaknesses. They are able to accept themselves as a person. Then they don't need validation from others. They will take feedback. They may improve themselves. But the center of their happiness remains in themselves, which is what Vedanta tells us. Even Yoga Shastra will tell us that anchor in yourself first. Otherwise, the world is going to have all power on us to control us, dominate us, manipulate us, and we will be just puppets in the hands of people. So if I'm anchoring in myself first, where I do things which are as per my temperament, I feel loved, I feel happy, I am able to have proper, individual growth by myself, then you are strong enough. Once that has happened, then I take the criticism objectively and say, okay, if this is the issue, what are the things that can be done? If the issue is valid, XYZ things can be done to rectify it. If I made a mistake or if there's a negativity in me, I can rectify. If not, I can put it aside quietly. I don't need to do anything. I can say that I can explain myself, or I can clarify any wrong notion that people have. If after all this, they still don't accept, that is their problem. That is again detachment which we must have, that we cannot insist that they have to change their opinion about us. They may not. It's all right.
Very
I
true.
made it clear.
Yes, very good.
But
See,
after that, it is their choice.
if somebody can't see good in me, it is his problem, not my problem. It's very much clear. And so, and you're not dependent on how he behaves and what he does and what is right and what is wrong. You have to go above that. I mean, you focus on your state of mind. Why should your state of mind get affected because of others? So you are not working with yourself more. So do that. Okay. Any other question? Very, very nice, Swamiji. Because we have many questions, we have to go short.
Yeah.
Okay. Tell me. क्या सिन्हा साहब आपके पास कोई प्रश्न है?
नमस्ते स्वामी जी, नमस्ते हंसा जी।
नमस्ते।
मेरी पत्नी रोज सुबह और शाम पूजा घर में जाकर के दीप जलाती। She lightens a lamp every morning and evening, and I don't do it. So I think that whether I am doing right or wrong, or I just want to know that what is the relevance or importance of these rituals for bhakti.
See, right and wrong depends on the intention and the motive. Very simple it is. If somebody is lighting a lamp, does not make them right, and somebody is not lighting a lamp does not make them wrong. What is the intent? If my intent is I want to connect with the divine, I want to express love to the Lord, I want to express my gratitude to Bhagavan, I am lighting a lamp, it makes me feel happy, it makes me connect to the divine, I might do that. If I feel that no, I just remember Bhagavan in my mind, I chant his name or I express my gratitude in different ways, through that I remember the divine, now that is my method. If I feel that by serving the people, I am serving Bhagavan. If I'm serving poor, illiterate, anybody, and my bhav is I'm serving Bhagavan. Now that is my way to connect to the Lord. But it should be my way to connect to Bhagavan. It should not be that social service I'm doing for my name, fame, and recognition. Then I say that it is my worship of Bhagavan. That is hypocrisy. There are people who are doing that in the name of social service, promoting their ego. Then they say, this is my way of connecting to divine. That is wrong. That is, you are not connecting to Bhagavan in any ways in that time. But if I am doing genuinely, so Gita says Karma Yoga is an approach to Bhagavan, Bhakti is approach to Bhagavan, Jnana is approach to Bhagavan, Raj Yoga is approach to Bhagavan. All the four are ways to remember the divine. Now, what is the need of ritual in Bhakti? So the need of ritual is very simple. Every science has a pure science and applied science, right? If there's only pure science, there's no application, then there's no way to live that, right? If you keep reading books on swimming and say, I will never jump into the water, but I know I am a PhD in swimming. I have done 20 books I've read on swimming, and I've even authored 5 books on swimming. but I have never touched water. That is not going to make any sense. I may say Bhagwan is infinite, Bhagwan is supreme, Bhagwan is kind, Bhagwan is the creator, Bhagwan is sustainer, Bhagwan is compassionate. I may do even kathas on Bhagwan, but if I don't do any practice, it can be puja, it can be japa, it can be bhajan, it can be kirtan, it can be any form of connecting to the divine. A ritual is just a simple practice which is done repeatedly, which will help me to purify the mind, which will help me to connect to the divine, which will help me to surrender my ego. Simple. Which cannot happen only by intellectually reading some books. It has to be applied, where I have to learn to withdraw my attention from the senses, from the thoughts, from the emotions, and connect it to the divine. Any practice that helps me to do it is called a ritual, and we must do. See, every day we have a ritual for other things or not. Why do we question it only for bhakti? खाने के लिए रिचुअल है कि नहीं? 3 बार दिन में तो मिनिमम लोग खाते हैं कि नहीं खाते? एक्सरसाइज के लिए रिचुअल है, उसमें भी even in yoga you must be having some rituals ना, कि first you do this warm up exercises, then you do this main asanas, and then you do the relaxations. होता है ना सिस्टम, और वो रिपीटेडली से उसको रिचुअल बोलते हैं. Today the people have such aversion against the word ritual. It is because they have loaded their mind to think that ritual means primitive, ritual means old, ritual means superstitious. So they take pride in saying, I am not ritualistic. I am only spiritual. I am not religious. I am not doing ritual at all. अरे बर्थडे सेलिब्रेट करते हो ना हर साल, वो रिचुअल है कि नहीं है? वेडिंग एनिवर्सरी सेलिब्रेट करते हैं हर साल, साथ में जाएंगे, डिनर करेंगे, ये करेंगे, वो करेंगे, वो सब रिचुअल है कि नहीं है? तो रिचुअल से किसी को घृणा नहीं होनी चाहिए. इट्स अ सिंपल एक्शन विच इज डन रिपीटेडली विद अ सर्टेन पर्पस. वो तो हम करते ही हैं सब.
You see, the problem is when people get stuck with ritual. पूजा करनी है, सवेरे नहाने के बाद पूजा ही करेंगे और उसके बाद ही किचन में जाऊंगी. जब फैमिली मेंबर को देर हो रही है ऑफिस जाने के लिए, तो यहाँ प्रॉब्लम आ जाता है. रिचुअल हो भाई, ठीक है, आपने अभी दिया नहीं जलाया, बाद में जला लेना, मगर अभी ही करना है. प्रॉब्लम यहाँ आता है, और इसलिए मॉडर्न पीपल दे हेट दीज रिचुअल्स. वो जाओ मंदिर में, लाइन की लाइन पड़ी है भैया, इतनी गर्दी हो रही है, दे आर पुशिंग देमसेल्व्स टू लुक एट दैट स्टैच्यू ऑफ गॉड. मैं बोलती हूँ कि भाई दूर रहो ना, जिनको बहुत ज्यादा वो है वहां जाने दो उनको, तुम जाना, गॉड सब जगह है, आंख बंद कर ले. तो योगा टॉक्स अबाउट सिट क्वाइटली, मेडिटेट. That meditation is very much part of this. That sit quietly and meditate. Feel God within yourself. बोला ही है ना, God अपने अंदर है, तो यहाँ वहाँ क्यों भाग रहे हो? तो रिचुअल में अभी घर पे एक दिया, मेरे घर पे भी मैं तो नहीं ये सब करती हूँ. सवेरे से मुझे जाना होता है, ये लेक्चर वो लेक्चर, लेकिन घर में मेरी मदर इन लॉ थी, वो हमेशा दिया जलाती थी. और जब दिया रूम में होता है ना, तो बड़ा अच्छा लगता है. आप जरा 2 मिनट बैठ जाते हो वो दिए की लौ को देखते हुए, विच इज ऑल्सो अवर योगा रिचुअल. लुक एट द फ्लेम ऑफ द कैंडल एंड इट रियली हेल्प्स यू टू कॉन्सेंट्रेट, फोकस. तो ऐसी सब चीजें ढूंढो कि जिससे आपका मन भी बिल्कुल स्थिर हो, थोड़ा ईश्वर के करीब आए. वैसे रिचुअल आप बनाओ. ये जो यूजुअल रिचुअल है कि ईस्ट में देख के पूजा करना, वेस्ट में नहीं, इस तरह बैठो, ये करो, वो सब जरा ठीक है, जिनको करना हो करे, लेकिन आप भी कुछ तो रिचुअल बनाने पड़ेंगे ना. द मोमेंट यू गेट अप, यू हैव टू ड्रिंक अ ग्लास ऑफ वार्म वाटर, इवैक्यूएट योर बॉयल्स. ये भी सब सिस्टम है ना योग में, कि जिससे आपका बॉडी ज्यादा गड़बड़ ना करे. तो ये सब आ ही जाता है रिचुअल. नियम इज ऑल रिचुअल ओनली. व्हाट यू विल बी डूइंग एवरी डे, नियम में आ जाता है. तो व्हाट यू शुड डू विद द एक्सटर्नल वर्ल्ड इज यम. Don't hurt others, don't speak lies, and this. So be very, very clear. Don't get against this aversion with this word ritual as such. You create your own ritual. You make your own ritual. That's the whole approach. And don't hate others. If they believe in that, let them do it. Okay. Other question? Garima?
Swamiji, yes, I have a question, if I can.
Yes.
Swamiji, you addressed to have issue-based differences and not personality-based differences. Now, between a couple, they are both different personalities. And for every little thing, we obviously have been brought up differently. So there are plenty of differences throughout the day to deal with. How to keep it separate?
By understanding that, so as you said, you are brought up differently, so there are different ways of perception and the ways of response. If I understand, then it may appear conflicting sometimes, but that is where the understanding is, okay, this person is appearing, is responding in this way because of this background, and the other person is responding because of this background. So sometimes you insist, sometimes you let go and come to an adjustment where understanding is there between each other, that we both will follow as per the situation, one or the other. Where both can follow together, great. Otherwise, one follows, the other does not. It's all right. Let the other person have their.
Swamiji, what happens is we have one child. Now we both have different ways of bringing her up. Now I want her to do something, and immediately as soon as I have stepped out of the house on a weekend, he's at home and he will do the same thing and teach her something different. And there is then a conflict कि मम्मी के साथ ऐसे करना है और पापा के साथ ऐसे करना है. But what is that topic? Then there is a confusion or a lack of clarity with how to take it forward, right? How do we address that?
One has to come together for that and understand that we want these common values to be taught, and for that our behavior has to be consistent. Otherwise, the child is getting confused signals. Whether we personally like it or not, the agreement has to happen. Na, ki the child needs this. What is good for the child? It is not your way or my way. It is what is good for the child. What is good for the child? Come to a common agreement saying, these three values I want, these three values you want, together we combine, and this behavior of ours should reflect these six values together. Then there is an integrated approach. That is how the parenting will happen together. If there is no integrated approach, like you said, that is what will happen. Then there will be more conflict, more confusion. So one has to come to agree, and in that there is a certain, that's where the adjustment is, that each one adjusts to the other and say, okay, this is what you feel is important, this is what I feel is important. We come to a common ground, and these things we will be together in this. And in certain aspects, there is individuality which is respected. So the mother's individuality, father's individuality, their personality, the child knows, and the child also knows what is common. That tuning has to happen between the father and the mother properly. Then there is no confusion.
Exactly. Husband and wife can't talk different languages. They have to talk same language. The child would definitely be spoiled, will confuse and create more problem. So that both of you have to decide, plan your day ahead and see to it. Actually, woman thinks differently, man thinks differently. Both are definitely thinking from different angles. But then they say no, one from head and one from heart. Something like that is happening between man and woman. So there would be difference of opinions, as Garima you say always. But then you have to plan out and see that there is no such conflict. Which Swamiji made it very much clear. It's very clear. Husband and wife have to think alike for child's growth. What is right and what is wrong for child. Yes. Anything else? Any other question?
Yeah,
Bolo.
Swamiji, this was for small children, but grown-up children who, due to circumstances, are dependent on you. And they have their own personalities fully developed, not ready to listen anything. So how do you handle them?
Then what are they dependent upon you for? That is an important question. Are they dependent upon you for finance? Are they dependent upon you for just some physical security of a home, or for emotions? What are they dependent about?
Both, due to circumstances, I said.
Yeah, but finance, ghar, your emotions, they are dependent upon what your child is dependent upon. Analyze, ask him.
Yeah, I'll say everything right now.
Everything.
As I said, due to circumstances.
See, if a person is dependent due to circumstances because there is a whatever financial crunch or whatever challenges that person has, that's a temporary dependence where you may support, but the child should also be asked that what are your ways and means to get out of this dependency, and how will you become independent? What support do you need from us to become independent? We are there to support you in difficult times. How will you become independent? What are the things that you are going to do, who are helping you in this process apart from us? The child has to be made aware of all those things, because constant dependency is not help, it is weakness.
It will hamper his growth only.
Yeah. So we have to make that child independent slowly. So difficult times, the parents are there, they fall back upon us, and parent will support, there's no doubt. But how is the child going to get back on the feet? What is the plan of the child to bounce back? If there is no plan, then the parent has to take some hard steps also to ensure that the child becomes little more independent and slowly learns to become clear. The
Yes.
child also may need some emotional support of his or her age to come out of this state. So many things matter in this. One is the functional dependency, how to come out. One is emotional dependency. One is the inner strength. The child may or may not have the confidence and the courage to face life. Then infuse knowledge in the child, make the child more capable, strong, remind the child of their achievements, goodness, their strengths. Be with the child and help the child together, make the child more confident, and slowly then you withdraw. So depending on circumstances, many of these things have to be done. But the ultimate goal must be clear, that child has to learn to become independent. That the child also should become clear and acknowledge it. Otherwise, you may want to make the child independent, but the child doesn't want to become independent. Then there's a conflict. Why the child should become independent has to be told very clearly. Communicate, explain, have a conversation, come to a common understanding, then work towards that.
Yeah, thank you. It's very clear. I think we are on that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't remain in your comfort zone. Chalne do, chalta hai. You have to see that your child becomes independent. Yeah.
Okay, so I actually have a session at 6:30. So till 6:15, I am here. There are
Yeah.
two people. Yes.
Yes, Swamiji. Anybody else has any questions?
Two people have raised.
Can I ask?
Yeah,
Yes, please.
Swamiji, this is Amit. I just want to ask the last question and want to turn it around, right? So, how about the same problem but having that problem with your parents? Because now they have seen the world, they wouldn't listen to you. You want to get something done for themselves only. Like you want to get their health treatment done at a better place. Maybe I don't know. You want them to come and stay with you, but I mean that all that thing what you said, communication and talking to them and logical reasoning, nobody listens. So how to handle that thing? Like I don't know. I really struggle with that part.
See, there will be some fear in their mind, and they are used to certain way of treatment in a particular place, and they may not want to change that. They may have some fear, because today enough challenges and many problems come when people change their doctors or the hospital or whatever. So there may be some fear in their mind. They don't want to come and stay. Possibly again there is some inhibition in their mind. Their freedom possibly may be going away or whatever. There are some fears and insecurities in their mind. One can address them, help them to understand solutions for it, and see how their life is better for it. That is one possibility. If they accept it, great. If they don't, it is all right, because they are individuals, they will take their own decisions. And yes, if their decisions affect us, we have to also explain to them that if you do this XYZ, this is how it's going to affect us, and we will not be able to respond in a certain way where you may expect us to. So you please decide and let us know. Because if they are taking decision in their maturity, they should be ready for consequences, which they have taught the children or not. Your choices will have consequences you should be able to deal with. Same way, parents' choices also will have consequences on them and on the others. So the child can communicate to the parent. The parent, if they are able to listen, understand, great. Any challenges they have, any insecurities, fears, the child can help to overcome them. If still they don't want to change, they have some very strong reasons, or they don't want to change for the fear, they're not able to let go of that fear. then they should be ready for the consequences. Because that is their freedom and one can't change. And beyond a certain age, to change is very difficult. That also we have to acknowledge. We may want them to change at our age, but they have lived 70, 80 years or whatever is their age. And the mind does become more inflexible at certain times. So we have to acknowledge age, we have to acknowledge certain things that we can't change them. We have to accept them as they are. And in whatever way we can adjust, we can adjust. Even if there are some things which are not in their best interest, but if they are comfortable with that, then can't help it. That is their karma also, which they have come to exhaust.
Slowly,
So anchors we have to understand.
Slowly try and educate them, my dear. They cannot change. But somebody, suppose your father is sick, he will immediately phone you, beta, मेरे को ये हो गया, वो हो गया, doctor के पास ले जाओ. You can tell him, ये देखो ये number आप phone करिए. मैं phone करता हूँ. You try first. Make them little bit more independent. Educate them that they can handle their problems themselves. They should not, suppose you are not here, you have gone out. How are they going to feel? Helpless? So guide them that they should become self-reliant when they need something, whom to contact, when they are sick, whom to contact. The list has to be clear with them and make them to do, and you watch in case required help. This needs a good amount of education, and try and see that you help them out to become more independent. Try and do that. And certain ways, so you have to say no. Some family relatives have come and they want children to come and meet them. You are very busy. You can't come, you are in the office. So you have to make it clear that it's not possible. You can be humble, gentle, but you can't do it. You will have to communicate properly. Learn to say no also, humbly, but make them more independent.
Thank you, Swami. Thank you, Hansaji.
Sushmita, you have a question? Is Sushmita still around?
Yes, Garima. Hi. Thank you so much for this wonderful session. So I keep checking myself so many times that I'm doing the right job. Like I do follow like many rituals from morning to evening, but sometimes like when my husband is not understanding or like in different situations, I miss the balance and it's very difficult to come back again following the same things. So this happens every time. But the pause in between, like whenever this happening, right, like it's very difficult to manage, and I'll not be able in a situation that I'll be able to explain to my husband as well. So what kind of actions that we need to maintain like ourselves so that we'll not be distracted so much that it's coming back to the same thing again?
So, see, if we understand a certain pattern, whether it's a day's pattern or the way in which the life progresses in a few months, if we understand the pattern properly, we have to form our ritual and our practice and our time in such a way that first of all does not get disturbed. Point one. So suppose that's why we say get up early in the morning and do it before anybody else rises or before any other works. So one is to create the ritual in such a way that it is not interfering with anybody else's time, schedule, work, my duty towards them. If that is possible, then that is the best. It may be early morning, it may be any other part of the day, not a problem. One.
Okay.
Second, conversation has to be had about what is the ritual and why you are doing it and what is the logic behind it and how it helps you and how it may be able to help other people also. So if the person understands, the opposite person understands that, they may be more supportive and the breaks may become lesser and the insistence may become lesser and you may have more time and freedom to do what you want to do. Because people have very many wrong notions about rituals, about the effectiveness of it and why should we do. And those things need to be cleared in their minds. Once those become clearer, then the breaks will also reduce. Make them, I always say that talk to them in a language in which they understand. So if they understand science, tell them about science. If they understand love, make them understand through love. If they understand devotion, make them speak in that language, logic, make them understand in that language. So whichever language they understand, make them understand in that language and why this is important and how it has benefited. And if they see the benefit in your behavior, that is the third.
Exactly.
In your behavior, if there is a change because of it, they will not naturally accept. If you are more calm, more quieter, more happier, more accommodating, then naturally they will say, okay, this is helping her. Wonderful.
Yeah, actually this is so clear, but I live in US. We have our families in India, so I have a disturbed family. So always the point here is like there will be a misconception that is going on continuously between him and me, and he's like so reserved person that he's not able to explain the things that is going on in his brain. So it will affect my things, like what I'm doing current, because I try to make sure that I'm doing correctly, but even then some things will be pointed out in that because he is having some misconception of what I'm doing. It's financially or even in the home, like the routine things as well. So that part is like very difficult.
No, I understand that is difficult, and then there is no other solution there. You can do your best and leave the rest. You can explain, and if they still point out flaws, ignore. Can't do anything. Because you have done your best, you have explained, you have tried everything. If that person is reserved and not willing to change, now what can you do? You can't stop doing what you think is appropriate. Now that is creating conflict. That person has to learn to deal with it. You keep your mind objective and don't take the blame for it and condemn yourself and criticize and stop doing it.
Okay.
You cannot make everybody around you happy. Understand this very well. They are happy because of nature, their problems, their angle of looking at life. Understand, ask your husband what are the things which he would like you to do. If that is possible, do it. Why not? Go a little bit out of the way to do whatever is possible. But you can't come out of your skin. I mean, do it very clear. So try, discuss, find out what is the cause of his resentment or his negativity. If you can do it. Discuss. Husband and wife have to sit and really sort out. But if not possible, then just forget it. Do what you think right. Leave it.
Okay.
I will take charge of it.
Yeah.
I would like to thank Swamiji for his time today. And
yes, Karimaji, go ahead.
I would like to take the opportunity to thank you, sir, for your time today. And the session has been great, and you've addressed all our queries so simply. Thank you so much.
Thank you for this opportunity. Thank you, Hansaji. Thank you, Karimaji. It was nice to interact with all of you and learn also from all of you. Thank you.
We would love to have you both, sir. So let's when we meet again. But yes, such sessions would really encourage people to start thinking, analyzing, improving. All such sessions are very important. And it was lovely to have you. And it was so nice to see Chinmaya. After a long time, I saw him. I have heard him lots earlier when I was young. Now I'm 76-year-old, but I have heard him lots and I've been with him. His disciple also were here at the institute. We are quite, very. But yes, after a long time, I saw him again. It was very nice. It's a lovely, all the best. Thank you very much for coming to the Yoga Institute.
Thank you so much.
Hansaji, this month we do not have any anniversaries. So we will conclude with the Mangal Geet.
Okay. Fine. So we will just have this Mangal Geet. Sab Mangala ho, Sab Mangala ho, Sab Mangala, Mangala, Mangala ho, Sab Mangala ho, Sab Mangala ho, Sab Mangala, Mangala, Mangala ho. नभ मंगल हो जल मंगल हो नभ मंगल हो जल मंगल हो पृथ्वी का कण कण मंगल हो
पृथ्वी का कण कण मंगल हो, सब मंगल हो, सब मंगल हो, सब मंगल 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 हो। चित मंगल हो, मति मंगल हो, चित मंगल हो, मति मंगल हो, व्यक्ति का क्षण क्षण मंगल हो, व्यक्ति का क्षण क्षण मंगल हो, सब मंगल हो, सब मंगल हो, सब मंगल 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 हो, सब मंगल हो, सब मंगल हो, सब मंगल 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 हो, सब मंगल 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 हो, सब मंगल 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 हो।